What's up, you guys? So in this video, we're going to create this simple quiz app in Flutter. So what this has is a question. A question is asking what color is shown above. So you just simply have to pick from the options the color that's shown above for you to get the correct answer. So here we'll say blue. Then it moves us to the next question, which is having a red color. So here we can basically just give it red. Then it moves us to another question, which is having an orange color. So here, let's try to give it a wrong answer. Then here we can say gray. And here we can say green. So which gives us our score of 4 out of 5. So because we got one question wrong, and it gives us the score from the total, and it shows this in the show dialog. And here we have a reset button, which just simply restarts the quiz. So without saying much, let's get started. So to get everyone on the same page, what we have is a stateful widget that's being called here in the main.dat. So we just have a home screen, which is a stateful widget. Then the next thing we're going to make is we're going to have two folders. So the first one is going to have a model. Then the next folder is going to be called data. So inside this model, we're going to have a file called question. Then this is going to be data.dat. And in here, we're going to have a class. Inside the model, we're going to have a class and call it question. So the first thing we're going to have is a string representing the question text. Next thing is the color, this color. So say colors, we'll just give it color. Okay, it's imported on top there. It's a color. Then the next thing is we're going to have a list of strings. Called options. Then we're going to have a correct answer index. Because this is going to be a list of strings of which are these options. So we have to select from that list the correct answer index. So if this is the correct answer, then the correct answer will be on index 0. So now let's create the constructor. So I've created a constructor which has required all these variables that are inside this class. Then this constructor is simply creating an object for this question. The next in here, we're going to create a list. So this is going to be a list of objects from the questions class. It's a question, then you can give it a name, these questions. Then here you can have the objects. So this is the object that we created in this class here. So let's just format this. So let's go through this. So we're going to have a question here. Asking what color is shown above. Then here we're just simply going to give a color. So color is the red. Then here, firstly, we're going to we're going to have a list. So say blue, red, orange, and black. So here the current answer index is, the correct answer index is 1. So the correct answer we're going to have is 1. So we're going to do this for 4 more questions. So we have 5 questions now. So let's bring back the emulator. So we can just simply refresh this, because the next thing we're going to is the UI. So it's just returning a placeholder. That's why this looks like this. Don't worry about that. So we're going to have a scaffold and a body. Inside this body, we're going to have a column. Just going to have a cross-axis alignment of stretch. Then the main axis alignment. Of center. So let's simply ignore these. Then we have to know one more thing. Okay. This blue squiggle. So the next thing we're going to do is create 2 variables. So we're going to have these 2 variables, of which are both integers. So the first one is going to hold the current answer index, of which is 0. We've set to 0. Then the next one is going to be the score, which we have also set to 0. The next thing is we're going to have a void function. We're going to create answer questions. Which is going to have an integer inside a signature called selected index. Then in here, we're going to have an if statement. We're going to have this if statement, which gets the list of quiz questions. So we're going to import this from this file. Then next, we're going to have another if statement, which is going to say if the current answer index is less than the length of the quiz questions minus 1, we're going to have a set state, which, so this just increments this by 1. The current answer index is incremented by 1. So else we're going to say show results. We're going to call this show results question, show results method. So this is actually giving an error right now because we haven't made this function yet. So we're going to say void show results. So in here, we're going to have a show dialog. Of which is going to have, let's try to format this. It's easier to read this code when you format it. So it's going to have the context. Then we set this, point this to an alert dialog, which is going to have a title, text, So this text is going to say quiz results. Then we're going to have the content, of which is simply going to have a text as well. So this text is going to say, because this is just simply going to show the score that we had, like we had in the previous one. It's going to show the score inside the dialog. Then the first thing we're going to have is the score. And out of, so this is good, just simply going to be the total. So we're going to have this, which is going to have questions, quiz questions, dot length. Then the next thing that we have to have in here is the action. So inside here, we're going to have a text button. So it's going to have an unpressed, then also a child. So the child is going to be a text saying reset. Format this as well. So it's actually expecting a function here. So we're going to say, which is just simply going to reset these variables to back to 0. So it's going to reset this, the current answer index and the score back to 0 when the quiz is done. So the score, set it to 0 as well. So we're going to wrap these inside the set state. Then we're simply just going to pop these off the screen when we press the reset. I'm going to put this context. Okay, so next thing we have to do is go in here. Let's try to refresh this first. Okay, since this was refreshed, we just have a white background. So the first thing we're going to have is a container and the children for the column. So I'm going to give it a height 150. Then going to give it a color, which is going to be, but first we have to have a variable that we're going to use to access all these things from this list of objects. So this variable is going to be called question. So here we're going to say question dot color, so which is going to give us the first color from the first question. Then we're just going to wrap this inside a padding. So we're only going to give it left and right. We give it 8, right? Also give it 8 as well. Okay. So the next thing is we're going to have some space between this color and the question. height of 20. Then next, we're going to have a text widget. Okay, so this text is just going to be no, we have to remove these. These have to be outside the padding. Then the next thing we're going to have is the question. The question dot question text. Let's reload. I think we just have to align this text align. We'll center the text. So as we saw in the previous quiz app, the next thing that follows is the buttons with having the options. So we're going to spread. You say question dot options as map dot entries dot map. Then in here we're going to say entry. The first thing we're going to have is an int variable, which is going to be an index. So it is entry dot key. The next thing we're going to have is a string saying option. And we say entry dot value. Then we're going to return an elevated button. Which here it's going to have an arrow function. It's going to say we're going to call this answer question. Then in here it's going to have an index. This index. Okay. So the child is just simply going to have this string saying option. Then let's try to reload this. Okay, so this is what we have right now. So before we do this, I think we can have a sized box here as well. Put some space between the options and the question. Give it a height of 20 as well. Then let's try to reload this. Okay, so this is what we have. Then we say black, we give it a wrong answer. Then here we can say red, I say orange, then gray, then green, then okay, I think we have an error here, but everything else is working. So we just have an error. Set this show dialog. So it's supposed to be length but last. Okay, so let's try to reload this. Okay, let's try to reload this. Okay, let's wait for this to restart. Okay, so I'll just say blue. Give it the wrong answer. Gray, blue. Then gives only have one answer that's correct. So this is how you can make this, guys. So we've gone through how we can make a quiz app just using a model and a list of objects in Flutter. So this can you can actually improve on this. You can add your own constructive questions. So this was just a demo. So with that being said, thank you for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.